Nobody's business.
meeting.
You was?
9 o'clock.
Have an exercise class together and they put in some old music.
I'm sure she'll do
You want to get up and show us how you did it?
Not old music.
Before time music. They were talking about driving around in their 53 car. Music.
Get it right after the meeting.
Were you able to get that working?
Yes,
What was it?
I think the video looks good.
What was the issue?
I just plugged it in a third time and it worked. I don't know.
I think car like that. You may need it. You may need
Actually, it
it.
just worked. I'm gonna go check the microphone on my phone.
It wouldn't have been shown up by somebody who points it out.
Yeah.
Guys have mic check, make sure that's right. That did it.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
I heard the bumps, but you can't hear the voices. Weirdest thing.
Okay.
Did you hear that,
Is it back?
I don't know if there's anything to do about it though.
Clean it off a little bit, maybe a smudge,
Did that help?
maybe it's just me.
Hi, Dan. How are you? Pretty good.
It may just be my phone.
It might be your connection because it looks fine here.
Yeah, I'd say it's mine.
Okay.
Wipe it off.
How's that little one?
Maybe just happy.
Happy?
Just like we ordered. It was sitting in the drawer.
Name is Scotty. His little name is Scotty.
Still on top of
It's
the
actually.
line,
I got to hold that one. That's their third.
You need a few minutes. What do you need?
Well, if you're gonna start.
Guys, we've got time. We've got a few minutes.
It's the bell.
Jared, you're gonna have to watch the donuts, aren't you?
I know. Mortgage.
Hopefully it's just the. Yeah, hopefully it's just the donuts.
Yeah. It plays in the stereotype. I stay away from it.
That's right. Nothing's open.
We can't have this been wrong. Gather evidence from this.
Fred said everything, I'm starting to.
They're not making money, they'll close it.
I guess.
So the minute's spare.
Yeah. Stairs on. Shall we stand for the Lord's Prayer, please? Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Calling the meeting to order at 5:30. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Matthew, would you call the roll, please?
Gallagher.
Here.
Messemer.
Here.
Jacoby.
Present.
Scarborough.
Here.
Page.
Here.
Moss.
Here, sir.
Langer.
Here.
Olson.
Here.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Alderman Mesmer?
On your expense approval report, please turn to page 5. Chief McKinley, Toys for Trucks, the 12,900 route figures to outfit the Dodge Durango. How did that go? Are you liking what they did? Is it going to work for the next one?
Yeah, really well. It was supposed to come with plastic seats. It did not, so we're gonna have to take it back up there and get them put back in. So it'll cost about another $1,000. He was supposed to put it on this invoice, but it was not. Better than everything else is really nice.
The vehicle was to come with plastic seats?
No. He was supposed to put them in at the Toys for Trucks,
Okay.
which is not included on the invoice.
And that didn't come, the plastic seats didn't come with the car?
He misunderstood. So he didn't order them.
So the Durango came without seats?
There's regular seats, regular cloth seats. So you
Okay.
take those out, put a plastic.
So when you order Durangos, you don't order with, they just come with cloth seats and then you have to do something?
Correct.
Okay. Alrighty, thank you.
Any other discussion? Mr. Chapman, call the roll, please.
Gallagher.
Yes.
Messemer.
Yes?
Jacoby.
Yes.
Scarborough.
Yes.
Page.
Yes.
Moss.
Yes, sir.
Langer.
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Chapman, is there any public comment?
I did not have anybody fill out any forms, so I don't believe so.
Open from the attorney's office. Okay. I wish to have a short meeting because we got both the Chiefs and the Royals to play tonight. Both in the, well, the Royals are in the playoffs, the Chiefs are not. I got one other thing to state. We've had a couple of wrecks since the last meeting down there at the intersection. I'm asking the police chief and the fire chief to coordinate who cleans up all the screws, the glass, and the moldings and stuff. Because they're in the street. I'd appreciate it if you all just figure out who's going to do it. I know in the past the fire department has.
It's supposed to be the tow company, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Now that's the end of my comment. Any alderman comment?
So just reading over the agenda, and I know that Matthew always has it in his, but I just also wanted to make a reminder that to the public that we have the 5 vacancies on the ethics committee. So we need people to fill those spots. And if anyone's interested to reach out to our city clerk, Matthew, for more information or with questions, or if you'd like to join it.
Is that it?
That's it.
Anybody else? Okay, city clerk, Mr. Chapman, you have any administration report?
I had provided a written report, remaining that and just little questions.
Anybody got any questions for him? Okay, Director Cronk of Public Works.
I submitted a written report to you all. I don't have anything to add.
Anybody got any questions for him?
I was curious where it says there's a pinhole leak. Is that like literally like that tiny of a leak, or is that, in that term, mean something somewhat
No,
larger?
it was that tiny of a leak. It was from rusting on the pipe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That was my only question.
So what is the rest of the story? Has that area been patched now? What's going
It's
on?
not patched yet. We're leaving it as is to see if any moisture comes up.
So the void has been filled?
Yes, it's been brought to the top.
Okay.
The excavated spoil, dirt, if you will, other than the chunks, were put back in by a Decker contractor to a certain height, and then the rest was brought to the top with AB3, which is compactable rock. It's rock with dust in it. And it's been brought to the surface, but it still has delineators or cones. Because we put those up, we were worried about it getting wet from the spring and then becoming soupy. There's not been any moisture coming up. So we will likely let it stand another, we would hope to have a heavy rain and see what it does. Then we're gonna cut it clean and patch it.
Glad it got fixed before winter.
Hopefully it's fixed.
Uh,
Mother Nature.
I was just wondering, what are all the markings for utilities on Sobey Road? Down from us, Linda Lane, it turns down?
Those are they're coming to install cable, residential cable. There's numerous houses that are getting it.
The Google?
I
AT&T?
don't remember it's either Spectrum, Google, AT&T.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember specifically on the one call ticket what company it was.
Anybody else? Fire Chief Knudsen.
I did not have a written report. The only thing I would say is just a reminder that we have our open house at the fire station Saturday, 10 to noon. Like to see everybody there.
Anybody got a question? Chief McKinley?
I do not have anything.
Friday night, September 27th, around 7 PM, maybe a mile north of the exit 14 on I-35 coming south. I got to sit in the parking lot for a while, Verizon truck and something. Okay. Amazon. Was our city involved in?
We just helped out with traffic there on the church where they arrested the guy that took off from the Amazon truck. He kidnapped the Amazon driver and took off with him. And they, I think it was Liberty that spiked him there on 35. He bailed right there on 74th Street right there. Took off westbound and caught him shortly after. We just stopped there on North Church to help out with traffic. That was our involvement.
Thank you.
Court Administration, Everhart, you got anything to report? Alderman Jacoby, Personnel Committee, you got anything?
Yes, I do.
May I interrupt you a second? Chief, I appreciate you giving everybody a one-step raise like I promised on your report. I appreciate that.
For the fire department, I have an approval of yearly step increase for firefighter medic John Reed from pay grade 110, step 2, at $17.85 per hour to pay grade 110, step 3 at $18.20 per hour, effective 10/13/24.
Second,
Any discussion? Mr. Chapman, call the roll, please.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Messerman,
yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Page,
Yes.
Moss,
Yes, sir.
Langer,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
I also have an approval for a yearly step increase for firefighter medic Nicole Murray Fearon from pay grade 110, step 1, $17.50 per hour to pay grade 110, step 2, at at 17.85 per hour, effective 10/13/24.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Chapman, call the roll, please.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Messemer,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Page,
Yes.
Moss,
Yes, sir.
Langner,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
I also have for the fire department approval of yearly step increase for firefighter EMT Marie Kellum from pay grade 100, step 1 at 15.28 per hour to pay grade 100, step 2 at 15.59 per hour, effective 10/13/24.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Chapman, call the roll.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Messemer,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Page,
Yes.
Moss,
Yes, sir.
Langner,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
I also have an approval of a yearly step increase for Captain Medic Amos Kurtz from pay grade 130, step 2 at 23.39 per hour to pay grade 130, step 3 at 23.86 per hour, effective 10/13/24.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Chapman, call the roll.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Messemer,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Page,
Yes.
Moss,
Yes, sir.
Langner,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
I also have an approval of yearly step increase for Captain Medic Scott Williams from pay grade 130, step 2 at 23.39 per hour to pay grade 130, step 3 at 23.86 per hour, effective 10/13/24.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Chapman, call the roll, please.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Messemer,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Page,
Yes.
Moss,
Yes, sir.
Langner,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
I also have accept the resignation of firefighter medic Jade Rigel, effective 10/1/24.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Chapman, call the roll, please.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Messemer,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Page,
Yes.
Moss,
Yes, sir.
Langner,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
I also have accept the resignation of firefighter EMT Morgan McGee, effective 10/6/24.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Chapman, call the roll, please.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Messemer,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Page,
Yes.
Moss,
Yes, sir.
Langner,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
And then also I have approval of yearly step increase for part-time communication officer Rochelle Scarborough from pay grade 116, step 3 at 22.48 per hour to pay grade 116, step 4 at 22.86 per hour, effective 10/13/24.
87.
22.
Second. Discussion.
Hang on. You need to correct the pay.
87.
You said 86.
22.87.
You said 86.
Second.
Any discussion? This Alderman Scarborough, you should abstain.
Yeah.
Okay. Call the roll, please, Matthew.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Messemer,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Abstain.
Page,
Yes.
Moss,
Yes, sir.
Langner,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
I also have an approval of yearly step increase for part-time communication officer Sarah Insmanger from pay grade 116, step 3 at 22.48 per hour to pay grade 116 at 22.87 per hour, effective 10/13/24.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Chairman, call the roll, please.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Messemer,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Page,
Yes.
Moss,
Yes, sir.
Langner,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
I also have an approval of yearly step increase for part-time communications officer Gia Landroding from pay grade 116, step 1 at 21.72 per hour to pay grade 116, step 2 at 22.10 per hour, effective 10/13/24.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Chapman, call the roll.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Messemer,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Page,
Yes.
Moss,
Yes, sir.
Langner,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
I also have approval of yearly step increase for part-time communications training officer Chelsea Hay from pay grade 121, step 3 at $23.84 per hour to pay grade 121, step 4 at $24.26 per hour, effective 10/13/24.
Second,
Discussion. Mr. Chapman, call the roll.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Messemer,
yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Abstain.
I also have,
Didn't get the rest.
sorry.
Page,
Yes.
Getting tired.
Moss,
Yes, sir.
Langner,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
I also have accept the resignation of Communication Officer Katrina Loxerman, effective 10/7/24.
Second,
Discussion. Chief, how long did she last?
She found out 3 days before she was supposed to start that she received a grant to start her own business that she applied for well in advance before she applied with us.
Did she relay that during her interview that she had applied for a grant? No. Okay.
Any other discussion? Mr. Chapman, call the roll.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Messemer,
yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Page,
Yes.
Moss,
Yes, sir.
Langner,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
I also have a recommendation to hire Georgia Fox as Human Resource Risk Manager at pay grade 145, step 4, at $39.81 per hour, effective 10/8/2024.
Right, it's 29.81.
29, yes, it is 29.
Pending,
It's just looks like.
Any other discussion?
Real.
You have to finish your motion, Alderman.
Mr. Alderman Mesmer.
Pending background check, drug screen, and physical.
second,
Any discussion?
Yes. So my first question was that I noticed that the pay grade has changed since the last time.
We went down.
no, pay grade did not change. Step
Yeah.
change.
That's right, sorry, that's right, the pay grade step changed. So I was curious, who made that decision and what was the reasoning for it?
Well, I guess I can jump in there. She was gonna get paid too much. Her coming back and starting all over was too much, step 8. So it had to go down.
What's the thought process behind step 4 specifically?
Pardon?
What's the thought process behind it being at step 4?
Okay, what are the hiring of the police officers now?
There's step 4.
Step 4? There you go. That was the process behind it. If the police officers are being hired at step 4, human resources risk manager, I would think would be hired at the same amount. So I lowered it or requested it be lowered from 8 to 4. Same thing as the new police officer is getting.
Is it the same pay per hour? Or is just the step is the same?
No, it's not the same pay as the other.
So it's just the same step?
It's the step.
Just, it changes the pay.
I'm sorry, do we bring on any other, like, public works employees or port employees or fire department employees?
No, I
at
didn't. I
step
just
4?
looked at the police
Just
and
police.
went with them. No, it was my fault. I'm the one who did it.
Look, I'm not assigning blame. I'm just asking how we got to.
You asked a question and I'm gonna take responsibility for it. It was too much for 8.
Mhm.
But if the police are coming in at 4, and I support them coming in at 4, then that makes sense to bring her in at 4.
So then, yeah, I would love to,
We were moved to a step 4 a couple of years ago because we were having a crisis finding police officers because we're the lowest paid agency around.
that would be my assumption as well. So I appreciate that you said that because my thought is that we're doing that specifically for the police because we were needing to find a way to bolster and people applying to be police officers. So I don't see a reason that we would need to hire an HR person at the same step as what we're hiring new police officers as, because police officers, it was because, like you said, a crisis of not having enough police.
So does that mean then that at the same time, we lower what we hire the police officers at step 4?
No,
Because that's over. We had a crisis and we hired them at step 4 to bring them in. The crisis is over, so now do we lower that? Now that's the question.
so you're still down 40%.
Well, I would say personally that it's more important to match what other equivalent jobs are making when they're starting out anywhere else and not trying to match a different department personally. So I don't know what that number is, but it doesn't, to me, make sense to try and match a different department. It makes sense to match the job and the qualifications with other related jobs around. Like I said, I don't know what that number is, but.
Well, so we have some other people who are in the admin department. So I know our previous HR director was hired at step 1, is my understanding previously. Matthew, were you hired at step 1?
Yes.
You were hired at step 1. So to me, it would make sense that if we were to hire a new HR risk manager, that we would hire them at step 1.
And there's all this added information. Do we have enough information to make, or do we need some kind of discussion?
We need to go on the road.
Well, I would appreciate further discussion because this is new information that's on my desk as well that I have not seen before tonight. So I would love to discuss this further. I don't know if we should go into closed session to discuss this.
Mary?
The finance chair. Going over everything on their finances. Is it within a reasonable amount?
City administrator has been working
Second on that, didn't we?
Yes, go ahead. Discuss.
with reconciling accounts. And I believe in the end of this week, we should have corrected cash balances.
That is the goal with the consistent difference we found.
And then we'll have more confirmation about where our income and expenses are. So what we got, the budget report of August still has, as of the end of August, still had some adjustments to be made. So I can't give you any numbers about where we are.
And also then, if I recall now, the former HR person was hired years ago as part-time. This is a full-time position.
Yes.
And you did the personnel committee and go through on the applications?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And said that,
And
so,
we went through several applications. And really, the one that we really liked in there, he never has called back as far as I know, has he, Mr. Slater?
May I address? Due to city's application process, we received 2 applications, one being Mrs. Fox. We received 89 through Indeed, and we received 1 walk-in. And of those, I went through every one. I gave 5 to Clerk Chapman to review, and he agreed. We called those people for interviews. 1 didn't agree to an interview, did not show up. A second one did show up for an interview, and the personnel committee saw that file. 1 of them called back and said, the salary's not right. And the other 2, after numerous attempts reaching out back to them, and then coming back to us, never did confirm an interview, nor did they tell me why. But I'm guessing it might have been the salary issue.
So salary not right being not enough. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Well, while we got you, Mr. Slater,
Sure.
Can I ask? So the 5 people that you identified through Indeed, did they meet the base requirements of the job?
In my opinion, yes.
They didn't?
Was that on the job I posted, the part-time position that you had me post?
I did not see the job that you had posted, but what we posted on Indeed was this. The HR position is part-time, but they would like to do full-time so we can get a better list of candidates that we'd be able to offer them administrative work with the idea that we've got a lot of things going on. We've got to work through this, the licensing for the businesses. We've got some other situations. The reconciliation should be cleaned up, but there's some other items that we just need to get fixed. And when you guys hired me, I think I made it very clear that I did not want this to be a career job whatsoever. So when we get to a position where we think it's good, then I can either step back to part-time or settle out someplace else. So, but I think it's very important that we get some of this administration stuff, get some procedures in line, because, and it's not just this year or the last year and a half, it's been quite a while, but we've got a list from the state of all the people who submit income to the state, and we're going to compare that to our business licenses, and we're going to see who's got a business in town that's not registered with the city, and then we'll go collect that money in the future. And we want to make sure that all of our businesses have the proper sales tax. Yes, sir.
Sorry, I raised my hand, but I wasn't sure if somebody else. Okay, I'm sorry. Can you describe the interviews that you held?
Yeah. So the very first one was a gentleman from Grain Valley. And I mean, the only one that the people came in, Lisa and Matthew were both in on that interview. And we liked the gentleman, but the personnel committee said he did not have enough municipal experience and that's why Alderwoman Jacoby and I disagree, is because I thought he was fine, but correctly speaking, the city attorney said up here a couple weeks ago and said, make sure they have municipal experience because it's a different area. And so the personnel committee said, we're not interested. Then with Mrs. Fox, Clerk Chapman was invited to join us. He did not, but the personnel committee and I talked with her.
Did the assistant city clerk sit in on that interview?
No.
Did we ask her to?
I was asked if she could do it, and I said yes. Mr. Moss might have an answer, but go ahead.
Again, that's me.
Okay.
Okay, I came up here on Thursday to the Personnel Committee meeting, first of all, to find out how the application process was going. I got here and, wow, we're involved in interviews already. So, okay, it's going quite well, I guess. The second part of that was, well, who's on this committee to interview these people? And that's every one of our faults, because we did not set the parameters on who would be on this committee. Who picked and choose who was going to be on this committee? And when I heard it was Matthew, and it was Mayor Slater, and then Lisa, who hasn't been here that long, who is a part-timer in the administration department over there, I said, no, it's got to be the personnel director as part of this committee, because we're talking about personnel. So it can be Mr. Slater, Matthew, and Linda. And that was my call.
But
So
did you sit in on that second interview
Yes, I did.
with the gentleman?
Yes.
No, we did not have a second interview with the gentleman. The personnel committee scrapped that resume because of lack of municipal
Yes.
HR experience.
So we had two different groups of people interview the two different candidates.
that was my fault. I didn't know how many more interviews we had, how many more applicants we had, but it wasn't right that we might as well bring in one of the guys, one of the lawnmowers from Public Works to sit in on that. That's our fault, that we did not set the parameters. Every one of us. It's our fault. We didn't set the parameters on who was going to be on the committee. And then I heard it was Lisa, and she works in the administrative offices part-time. She works downstairs part-time. She's only been here a short amount of time. No. The personnel person should be in that committee.
But she wasn't.
She wasn't.
wasn't when
Thursday
they interviewed.
when I came in here,
Yeah.
but she was Thursday after I left.
So, but that's, she only, Linda was only in one of the interviews.
Well, I don't know
That
how
is
many
correct.
interviews there was scheduled.
We
I didn't-
had-
I didn't know there was any interview scheduled, but
So I think why there's confusion here and why we have because usually it's the department head that interviews somebody that's going in their department.
It's not usually the department heads, it's actually usually just, you.
That's, he's the department head.
He is, but he was the only department head that was ever supposed to be on that.
For the admin department.
Yeah, so each department, usually their department head conducts interviews, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay,
But it doesn't go to every department head.
no. No,
Just
it
as
doesn't.
admin.
So what's interesting here is that the first interview for our first candidate was not conducted by the department head.
Right, but we read all those over.
Oh, no, yes, it was absolutely done by the department head. In that first interview with the gentleman.
No, I'm sorry, I'm talking about the first interview that we had at all with this position, which was Georgia Fox, was not with the department head.
That was the second interview and the department head turned down the invite.
So I'm speaking about the very first end of the first time, a couple weeks ago,
Oh.
that interview.
Well,
Was there no interview?
With Georgia, she's asking if there was an
Yeah.
interview with Georgia the first
3 weeks
time
ago.
when, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, there was a phone conversation, but I don't know if I'd call it an interview.
Oh, okay, so we had a
Just see
recommendation to
if she
hire
had
her
interest.
initially without an interview. The initial recommendation to hire was without an interview.
With,
Okay, just to clarify that. And then for the first round of interviews, then, since that was not an interview, we had our department head and assistant city clerk and
and
yourself
myself,
in the interview. And then for the second interview with Georgia Fox, Matthew was not in it.
no, he refused to go.
He refused to go. Do you know why?
I don't care why, personally, so I really don't. Because
I-
he had
I
his
want to hear
choice.
from Matthew.
I would like to know why.
I chose not to go because I didn't feel like I could be objective in that role. And I also didn't feel like anyone else in that room could be objective in that role. I think the whole process was a bit of a sham.
So, Linda, how long have you known Georgia Fox?
11 and a half years.
So I can understand a concern that maybe that's not a objective interview. And you only did the interview with Georgia Fox, not with the other applicants.
No, I did not, because like Tom said, we didn't know they were interviewing.
Well, then, but why were you in the interview with Georgia Fox at all?
It sounded like Tom called her and
Because she put her name back in, and she was very qualified,
But I'm curious why you were.
yeah, we had an HR committee meeting and we reported of the 5 applicants out of the 92 that actually applied. And then the HR committee said, no, we want to be involved. We want our chairperson, which is Alderwoman Jacoby, to be in that room.
Well,
And that's
then-
why it changed.
So then if that's the case, I think that we owe the first gentleman a second interview with our chairperson. It doesn't seem right that we had two separate interviews with 2 separate committees. And that one interview was done with somebody who's known Ms. Fox for over a decade.
They've got a motion on the floor, we got a second. So I don't see no need of any further comment. I'm asking Mr. Chapman to roll on the motion that's on the floor.
I'm sorry, but I would like it.
Huh?
I would appreciate an answer. I would appreciate if we acknowledged the fact that there were 2 separate interviews with 2 separate committees. And that we are,
We're gonna vote on the first one,
yes.
then we can discuss.
Well, it's part of the discussion.
It's part of this.
have we let the other gentleman know one way or another yet?
No, because it's up to our decision tonight.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that no one is,
No.
Okay.
The 87 applicants who did apply for the job got a response back from me saying, thank you, but we're looking in another direction. I think it's, as a guy who's looked for a job before, I think it's kind of bad when you apply for a job and you don't hear back that you're not a pick and you sit there and wait, but within by 48 hours at the longest, some people applied over the weekend. They got a letter back saying, from me, and I'm real easy to get a hold of. Somebody went right back and some did. Most of them were appreciative that we did that. Yes, sir.
So the one gentleman that was interviewed, and you made the recommendation to the personnel committee on Thursday, that was your recommendation, really, of the applicants that I've received. You've interviewed one of them, and he has a recommendation. I, for one, would like to. I'd like to see more about that one, regardless of whether the personnel committee turned him down or not.
Okay.
You also have to consider,
And I have a question about this whole legal, are we running into any legal problem hiring a human resources person at all? Is there an issue of the current court case, if we know which way, could they come back to be hired? I don't understand law, and I'm trying to figure out if there's going to be, I don't want to have yet another issue. Am I saying it right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well said. The people from Irma were pleased that Georgia Fox was being considered to come back to work. Then Alderman Gallagher went and gave his concerns, and that's their response, and that's a pretty good way of saying we're neutral, in my opinion. But you've got that letter in front of you. You can read it however you want to read it, but I put that out in open session for the board to review because it's not dealing with the personnel person. Maybe you could say it dealt with legal suits, but that was my decision. If you guys want to keep it confidential, great. If you want to share it with the public, great, but I will not be the one sharing it.
I would be happy to share it. This last line specifically, this to me doesn't sound neutral, but I just want to make sure that it is said. So adding the applicant to an already contentious and volatile dynamic could certainly result in the escalation of the present problems or create new ones. Of course, any other new person introduced into the situation may make things better or worse. So this says any other new person, not any new person, any other new person. I read this as it could be potentially problematic.
Mr. Mayor, clarify something with me. I thought we said this a long time ago on what the purpose of the personnel committee. And we have 3 from this board, and then they report back to us and keeping us informed. And so that's when I thought in the past that they've been kind of involved in personnel and hiring and then their vetting and everything else. And felt like that we can trust them. I just am wondering about how long this is going to go on. In my personal experiences, from that we have hired without people having no knowledge and experience with our city, it has not exactly worked out. The situation in that, and so the hiring without, and our whole thing in this, let's get on, having everything filled so that we can move on with our government. And it's part-time, and she has known our city. No one else has applied that knows and has experience with Record City, especially small town cities and 4th-class cities and so forth. And her qualifications, I told her, said they're fine. They're wonderful to interview and so forth. And like I said, I am concerned about that the city clerk saying that I'm not going to be part of, that it was, I mean, that's disturbing to me. I think they were being fair with everything that's going on. And it's kind of, I'm getting the feeling it's wanting to be a rule by one. And it's been to the city council where each individual, the 8 of us, and we can disagree, but then we work it out among each other instead of this contention in that. But like I said, how long is it going to go on?
So I want to clarify first, it's not part-time, this is full-time.
Escalation present.
So
Alderman Langer, if I might, it's HR's part-time, but she was one that would say, I'd want the extra 20 hours a week doing admin stuff.
she would be hired on as
Yes.
full-time with benefits, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so it is full-time.
Gallagher?
I would like to say that, I know, Alderman Langer, you mentioned that you were upset that Matthew declined. I find it admirable that a person is able to recognize a bias that he may have and step aside willingly in order to make sure the outcome is fair and impartial to the other applicants.
But then it doesn't become fair and impartial, is what Alderman Olson's saying, that he wasn't there, so it was not fair and impartial. Is that right? It's both sides. He stepped aside,
But
and
I
now
think
it's not
Alderman-
fair and impartial.
I think what Alderman Olson was saying was that having a consistent, and this is standard HR practice, having a consistent team to interview candidates is important, and swapping people in and out doesn't
That's
give
the
a clear
board's
picture.
fault.
And I agree.
That's our fault.
Yeah, except it isn't because the precedent
I'm
here,
sorry,
we
one
chose
second.
to
Who's
not
talking?
follow it.
Olson or
We could
Jacoby?
argue from here to doomsday, but it's not gonna solve the problem. I've got a motion on the floor, I got a second, so I'm calling for a vote. Mr. Chapman, call the roll, please.
Gallagher,
No.
Bessemer,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yes,
Scarborough,
No.
Page,
No,
Moss,
Yes.
Langer,
Yes.
Olson.
No,
4-4,
We get to say.
I'll break the tie, I'm voting yes. Any other motions before the floor?
Mr. Mayor. Oh, I'm sorry, you got Alderman Messmer with finance first.
Okay, and
Yeah, I'd like to address the board, a couple things I went over in the department head meeting today. Chief McGinley wants to have a lunch for all the employees. I think it's a wonderful idea. I think it's good to get everybody together. We need to build bridges in this city where you guys are split 4-4. I see nothing wrong with, I don't know if the board's got any objections to that, but I would love to see that luncheon be allowed, where it's potluck, everybody brings something in. Seeing objections, please let me know, or otherwise we'll.
It's been done in the past, so I don't see any problem with it.
And is everyone involved?
All the city
council?
employees.
City council?
We're not
Well,
employees.
It's city employees only.
We're not employees.
I don't see any issue with that personally.
No, but we've had, I object, yeah. It needs to be on off property, because we've had problems in the past.
can you elaborate, because I don't know what problem you're speaking of?
The Christmas party they had last year, and we said, okay, they said they had it in the budget, and found out how much, that's not so much about how much the thing was on city property. And then the mayor got told he's not invited, and the city council people were not invited.
First of all, there's zero cost to the city. It will be potluck. And if there is a cost to buy the meat or something, let me know and I will buy it.
So
Yeah.
everybody's assigned something.
Yeah.
But like I said, that's my objection, because
That's fine.
we were not invited, so it was very much,
So we want to exclude them from having an employee potluck because we're offended that they don't want us
it's
there.
not offensive. It was, and it was very low. If they wanted to build relationships and we want to build relationships, that was not the way to do it, because none of us were involved, but Councilman Gallagher went to it. I understand because he's white, but he was a councilman and he went to it.
Well, I want to speak on behalf of the employees that when we hire somebody that they openly object to, it doesn't feel like we're building bridges.
We're more than welcome. We'll just do it outside of work. It's fine.
I want to make
I
it
mean, you
clear.
can assure, but like I
You got
said, that's
one person out.
disturbing.
Yeah,
Mr. Mayor, can you ask for a second to that motion to not host it down to the police station?
second. To host, you said?
To not
Oh,
host it.
never mind.
No.
Okay. All right. So thank you. and I get your concern, Alderman Langner. The second thing is this. I just think there's too much going on in this city hall. We have secured areas, both downstairs and upstairs. And I have asked the department heads that I'm gonna ask you guys tonight for support or not support. I don't want employees who don't work in those areas to have access to those areas unless they get permission from me. And that means that if you're not police dispatch or court, you're not down the basement. If you're not administration, you're not up here unless you get permission. Like Director Cronk's got to change some lights, he'll get permission. There's just too much going on. I think behind the scenes, I think when you look, if you read your agenda, you'll see some of these sunshine request laws. And the reason people think I flipped on the Georgia Winnell thing, Georgia Fox thing is it's simply because you asked me to do research. I did research and I saw a letter that had to be generated from someplace. I asked department heads this morning, they said they had nothing to do with it, but it generated someplace. It was insight. It was information that you don't get when you're sitting at when I was sitting at my house, not being involved with any of this stuff. And I think I'm about as locked in as anybody. And I just want that to be stopped. And that's why I'm asking for you guys to limit the access to people who are not in those departments, inside those departments. So,
So moved.
I would like to hear from our staff if possible.
well,
From our
wait a second,
department
and
heads.
you have discussion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Mayor, you might want to call for discussion because Alderman Olson has asked for department heads to have their say.
Okay, any discussion?
Yes, I would love to hear from each of the department heads about that proposal. If anyone has input.
You don't want my input.
I do want your input.
That said, I would like for them to explain when it's been productive for the city as a whole, as part of their explanation.
It was productive a year ago when we all got along and was able to move about and work together. Otherwise, now it's just fine to be separated.
If I have to go, if I want to talk to the police chief about anything, I have to do it outside, not in his area.
No, if it deals with business, just let me know you're coming. And I hate to make a rule.
So I have to call, I need to call you before I can do that.
It's up to the board, yes. If it deals outside the city, if you're at a scene, of course not, because you're not in City Hall, you're not in the secured areas.
Clarification on contacting you if I get a call at 2:30 in the morning for a trip breaker or a water leak, do you want me to call you at 2:30 in the morning?
Sure.
I think this proposal is non-realistic.
Mr. Slater, does this pertain to department heads? That they need to get permission to go about this?
Well, that's a
City
good
Hall.
point. Maybe everybody that's on department head, or whatever the board decides. I just think you'd be silly not to think there's discussions going on that are harmful to the city.
This feels like a half-baked plan to me.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't think this proposal is realistic. Matthew, do you have any input?
I think it's a bad idea. I think we're just talking about trying to build bridges, and this is just, putting more roadblocks in the way of departments getting together.
It's my 2 cents, because I think it's important that we're all honest about why we vote the way that we do. And right now, we are not, as a group of aldermen, building bridges with our staff, with our department heads. We're actively putting up roadblocks, hiring somebody that they do not want to work with. And then we say, we should have an employee appreciation potluck, not on grounds because we're offended that we're not invited, but we should all build bridges. It's all their fault. I think this is awful.
I think, well, on the part of them, of building bridges. We've asked before, and the council's always been, we felt like that we group and we can talk to each other and everything else, and it's been contentious. And then I have felt like there's been no attempt from anybody else in the city council to build the bridges with us. It's all of a sudden I'm feeling that we don't know, everything's correct, and everything else. And so there's not been an attempt from the city personnel to build bridges with us. We want to understand and see where you're coming from, but there's been too much behind doors and everything else. And even on our council that we've asked before, for everyone, that we're 8 people on there, and you have concerns and you're doing all this, you come to our council, the other council, so we can work things out. We're not, and so I want build bridges and everybody cooperating, but I have had the feeling and said that before, like I said, it had been told out in a public meeting about when we were in our closed session about some of the discussions been out here. So that does not build bridges. And I want it too, and so forth. I don't know, but it's not what we're working in. It's not so much that we're offended, but it was not right. They're not building bridges if they could not have, like the mayor said, show up and say hello at the meeting. That we went through all that stuff, and
You think that hiring Georgia Fox was a good direction for us building a bridge with the department heads?
yes, because we cannot set a precedent of everybody then employees telling us who we can hire.
Come on up, Diane.
No, Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
I thought nothing from the public after they had the chance for public, that you had said in the past.
Well,
I thought
that's
the
what
mayor was
he
in
asked
charge of
her to
meeting.
come up.
Well, I'm just asking, did you not say that?
It's,
Yes.
I don't need to make the environment race. I can submit a request next meeting.
Yes.
I thank you for your
You're
consideration.
welcome.
She opened it up, so I get to speak. She said, we don't come to you and tell you what's going on and that we're acting corrupt. And that is a joke. You blatantly voted 2 weeks ago, if we were allowed to speak on our feelings about a staff member that we have to work with every day, not twice a month for an hour a day, every day. And you voted no, that you did not want to hear from the employees that run the city. So that is not working with the staff.
Well, I have stated, and I'll state it again, when we're at the discussion, the vote on an ordinance or a motion is for the city council to decide,
She
not for
said
you
we're not.
to intervene and give your feelings.
How is that intervening when she's saying we're not working with them?
You let me finish.
Okay, go for it.
It's not for you to intervene on the back council up here. This board will discuss it without a lot of interference.
Got it.
Now,
Understood.
after the motion or the ordinance has been passed, you can ask a question,
I'm good.
but not while we are discussing the ordinances or the motion. That's for the board to decide
understand.
without any interference from the public.
Got it.
Mr. Mayor, can we table
Sure.
that motion so we can get a little bit more specific information on it? I need more than what's going on. I need to hear more about what you're saying.
Sure.
That would help, if you could bring it to the personnel meeting or whatever. There has to be more there.
I would ask that it comes to full board.
Well,
I'm sorry, I would ask that it comes to full board. We get
yeah, but I mean,
filtered stuff through the
it comes,
personnel.
yeah, it would come before the full board, but I need to know some more perks about it, I just can't see where I'm sitting now, that the fire chief can't go to the police chief, and the police chief can't go to the fire chief, and stuff like that. Now, there is certain things, there are certain things where, people shouldn't be roving around City Hall, but, specifically, the fire chief and the police chief work together. Public Works has to do lights and pipes and everything else. And I just can't see where it makes any sense that they have to call in to ask permission to go someplace. There's got to be more to this.
There is.
Okay, so that's what I want to know. That's what I want to know, sir.
I would not bring it if I didn't have a reason.
Okay.
And my reason is costing the city lawyer fees.
And it sounds like it's me. I
Well,
will be
stop
honest,
it.
I've brought concerns and issues to the board and I've been dismissed. So I'm going outside. And that's why Mr. Slater is talking about that. 2 Missouri Sunshine Law violation complaints in the last 48 hours, and then a Missouri Ethics Commission complaint. Because some others are not willing to listen.
Larry?
And you're not
I want to
willing
add, I
listen
have
to our
nothing
side.
but respect for the police department and what they're doing for our city and for the fire department and keeping safe and everything else. I'm just saying that this contention and everything else, but and we took into consideration and said, I'm just kind of confused because the time she was city clerk, there was not this contention and going to the board about, and just recently, last few years, and my concern is about, like I said, understanding our viewpoint and letting us know, but and filing all this stuff. And it's not about a bit of being offended. It's not right. And what they did before, I understand it could have, potentially was violating something when it was on city property, using taxpayer money, our money in the city, and then excluding the whole, the city council. And I said, to me, I did not feel like that was trying to build bridges over there when you had that. And so that was the whole thing that we came up with. And I'm just concerned then too, personnel deciding, well, it is very prejudiced or one-sided about what they were doing on the meeting. The last job description then on personnel net, that's not their decision to make. They're to work for the city, and do what they're asked for. So that's the whole thing. I want us to working together, and I have respect for everything else, but it just, I do not understand. Before, I had, a year and a half ago, I went to a conference on servant leadership, at Mark and sponsored, and this man, there is a company in that he goes about and works with city governments and about how to everybody getting on the same page and working together. And if this board's interested in, I could call and ask him if it'd be possible to come out, to help us negotiate so that we can work better.
Anything else? Alderman Mesmer, anything from finance?
No, but I would like to bring two things up under old business that's not on the agenda. In our meeting minutes, we discussed bringing forward an ordinance on limb removed. A resident will be responsible for the limb removal when the contractor from power company, telephone company, et cetera, clears branches from the lines. We need to work on that ordinance to bring it forward. And the medical director ordinance needs to be worked on and brought forward and in discussion when we're having budget development, which Mr. Slater, were we going to start budget development maybe the end of October?
We should have solid numbers for the end at your next board meeting. And we can go from there. Department heads have already been asked to come up with their capital improvement requests.
So those are two things that I noticed from these past meeting minutes that these ordinances need to be prepared, be working on and get prepared to come forward.
On that note, I did, speaking with him, he said that was in that request, he was fine, so just waiting.
Okay.
And also the HR committee has asked that we have an ordinance on dogs.
Dogs.
So we'll review those.
The personnel committee?
I'm sorry.
You're fine, I just wanted to
Personnel
clarify.
committee, yes.
Well, when you say ordinance on dog, what do you?
How long we keep them, how long
We haven't, we haven't.
we charge. Okay,
That's, we adopted that, it's based on Department of Agriculture
okay.
recommendations. Department of Agriculture issues the license is in Jared's name. It's 7 days. Most cities, well, we don't have facilities like other cities. When I first started working here, we had Shoal Creek Animal Hospital. We had them for 5, 6 years. Chief DeMoult set that up. They stopped accommodating our the handling and taking of our dogs. They were always taken by Shoal Creek for adoption. Then I reached out to Dogs by Devin. She picked up taking our dogs for, I think, another 4 or 5 years. And then she closed her doors. When Devin closed her doors, and I reached out to numerous entities to take dogs from us, and we got all no's. Fortunately, we had a lot of dogs that came to us, and the owners came and got them. Liberty picked up taking dogs from us about 2 years ago, 2.5, 3 maybe, and they did not take pit bulls. And when they're full, they won't take dogs from us. We cannot, our ordinance states, and our rules are keep the dog for 7 days. If not, then the dog is to be euthanized. Jared will tell you, well, when we had the department head, Jared was out of town, but Kramer was there. I recall Kramer mentioning that Jared and Kramer have both called around to numerous vets. Likewise, I have. They will not euthanize it. You can't call them and say, hey, I have a dog. It's day 8. Can I come and you euthanize him? They will not do it. They will not do it unless it's recommended by a vet based on old age or old age / medical problems. We've had
Awesome, Ms. you got anything else?
No,
Let me
he's still
finish.
talking.
Just- I'm almost done. We've had record number of dogs. Recently, we've had 5 at one time. Never had that in 13 years I worked here, with nowhere to send them. Liberty did an assessment on 2 of the dogs we had, and it was the second assessment they had, and they said they take a dog of theirs and they use as their determination dog, or whatever you want to call it. They said that those 2 dogs were aggressive and needed to be put down. So we took them to the vet here in town, and he wouldn't do it at first, and then we asked him to contact Liberty. He did. They confirmed that they did their assessment and that they were dangerous, so he put them down. That put us at 2 dogs. We have Piggy and Patty. Piggy's a pit bull. Liberty won't take it. We have nobody else that'll take it. Patty is a lab mix. Liberty liked that dog. They're gonna take that dog from us in the next 2 weeks. And the gal that works at Liberty Animal Shelter is gonna teach it to be a service dog. Corey and I are working on paperwork and ordinance for us to do collection fees. So if somebody wants to dump a dog off on us, we charge, I think we put in $50 or $100. We're gonna run it by you all. All cities collect that. I believe there's people that know that we don't collect that, and they just, here, take this dog. We do. So our kennel expense for this year, I think it's sitting at $1,600. We were feeding 5 dogs 3 of them eat like no other. Eat like my kids used to eat. They, like I said, the two of those hawkers got put down. So we're not buying food like we were the past 6 months. There's overtime involved on weekends, coming and feeding, watering, and walking the dogs. The way it works in public work, if you have to come in on your day off, you're paid a minimum of 2 hours.
2 hours overtime, right? 2 hours overtime if you have to come in on the weekends to feed or walk the
If
dog.
you're already at 40 hours.
Yeah, if you're at 40 hours, you get 2 hours overtime to come in and feed. That would be on Saturday and Sunday, 2 hours per day.
You're supposed to, for Department of Agriculture, you're supposed to walk each dog.
Right, but
We don't come in 2 hours, get your 2 hours, go home, come in later in the evening, walk the second time, 2 more hours. I think that's a little extensive. I normally come in for the dogs, live in the closest. Corey lives in Buckner. 9 times out of 10, when I come in, I'm doing some paperwork and/or I've had numerous Saturday roof inspections. They didn't change dogs and roof. So, it's an expense. The kennel's an expensive operation. If you're gonna operate a kennel, then you obviously have expenses to it. Yes, ma'am.
Would we be able to, for the dogs that we can't give to another city or to a rescue, whatever, since you've been trying to contact people, would we be able to do our own, some type of free or low-cost adoption advertisement, like putting it on next door? Or putting up a poster saying, hey, you can come adopt this dog. That way we can have, if residents want a dog, then they can come adopt it.
A couple of the police chiefs prior to Jared said we couldn't adopt dogs out.
Okay.
Liability, they thought. When I reached out to the Department of Agriculture, the director told me to read the last 5 pages of the 25-page packet, and it lists all in there how municipalities that have a kennel license can adopt dogs out. We just don't have the ordinances on our books to adopt dogs out. So we're setting that up to collect money.
Yep.
If you drop a dog off, and establishing ordinances that cover adoption. It's mainly just.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
It's mainly dogs must be spayed or neutered.
Shot, yeah.
Before you give them to the owner. It does say in there that you can give it to the owner and make the owner spayed or neuter within 30 days, but you know what's gonna happen there. You're gonna give the dog to them, they're gonna move to Arizona or
Sure.
whatever, and you're not, or they're not gonna do it because they don't have the money.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't release them unless they were.
Well, yeah, I think that's a great idea. Are those ordinances, you think you'll have them by next meeting?
I would
Maybe.
hope to.
Hopefully, okay.
We're about done with it.
Okay.
We want to sit down, obviously, and include Jared in paperwork, since it's under his name. It's always been that Public Works would do the grunt work, cleaning up after the dogs, walking them. So you don't have an officer on duty going into the kennel to give the dog food and water, and they're in their uniform, and the dog's got shit all over them, all of them jumps up on them. Anyway, probably more than you want to know.
Thank you.
I've got a motion and a second to limit access that we didn't vote on, and then Alderman Moss made a motion to table.
I'll second the motion to table.
Well, it's gotta go back to the person who made the motion.
Table.
Yeah, you just have to, you
No,
made the motion,
sorry.
right? Or no, sorry, you didn't make the motion, you mentioned it, and then who made the motion?
I make a motion to table it till it's further review.
I'll second it.
What are they table?
We're tabling Mr. Slater's request to limit access.
On what?
To limit access. We talked about, I think they've made a motion now to table that. So
Okay.
unless there's more discussion.
Any other discussion on it? Limited access? Okay, call the roll.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Messemer,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Page,
Yes.
Moss,
Yes, sir.
Langner,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
Motion from Nesby.
Being no further business, I move we adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? Chapman, call the roll, please.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Messemer,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Page,
Yes.
Moss,
Yes, sir.
Langner,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
Bring that check out and we'll sign it real quick. Thank you, James.
Jerry, you want to grab?
Thank you, Mary.
Give me $5.
Renee, I don't know what I've been asking you, Andrew, I think you recommend December 6th, and then tree lighting. Would you be available to take some pictures and then, you know how Facebook and website is, and website, it needs